because we're still working. Okay, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Okay, July the 1st, 2020. Let me get the microphone in a better place here. So, yep, a new month, the 7th month, adds up with the year 2020 to an 11. That will be interesting, the 11 being a master number, so we can expect some masterful action this month. So let's start here with this chart. So this is for Greenwich again. That is when the sun crosses the 9:30 mark, which happened yesterday late night, around 9, not that late, but at night. So what is this meaning? The sun and earth, they move as a couple, because when the sun is in Cancer, then the earth appears in Capricorn. So between 9:30 Cancer and 15 degrees and a bit, hexagram 39 is activated, which is obstruction, and 38 on the other side is opposition. That's quite a dramatic pair of energies. They're both related to the root chakra. 39 is the sun sign of the United States, and 39 happens to be the earth sign. So as we are now within this segment, this is the time when the solar return happens naturally, and also that is the time when we see the lunar eclipse. It actually won't be that much of a visible eclipse, as it is a penumbral eclipse, or I guess it's a penumbral one, which means the moon is only moving through the outer part of Earth's shadow. However, nevertheless, it's an eclipse. That means the light is imbalanced during that time, which creates that opening for a new creative impulse to step in. Now, 39 is the American nation's sun sign. It's basic identity, if you want. That's what the sun is. Now, first of all, Cancer is the sign of tradition and of family, of caring for where we come from. History is very important. So for that reason, that whole drama, I should call it, which we see right now in the United States about removing history, toppling all these figures and statues which remind us of our past, is very detrimental. It disconnects us from where we are coming from, which is very important. History, to know history, is to not repeat it, to know what has been done in a wrong way, and we have to learn from that and do it better. It's like when you look at your own life, if you make mistakes, if you wouldn't remember that, you wouldn't be able to not do those mistakes for a second time. So that is very important, and the energy of obstruction now in particular is asking us to work through the obstructions. It is actually growth through obstructions and also growth through challenge. On the other side, opposition, being the earth sign, is the two trigrams which are forming that hexagram are very different from one another. They move in opposite directions. So that shows definitely two throughout American history, that split. Just think of the two parties of that extreme polarization, which we see right now too. So this polarization is to a certain degree natural, and it is good because it sharpens the awareness to see the variety between the two extreme positions, which helps to find a middle position. In future, we still will have that polarity, but it will be moved into positive ground. Right now it is in the negative ground. This is something particular to understand about the whole duality which we are in this world. It is a basic principle of our three-dimensional physical reality that everything is polar. That means yin, yang, good, bad, if you want, light, dark. That polarity is part of the design. However, as things were and still are to a large degree, that whole polarity has been moved into the negative zone. So it's not balanced. That means even the positive is kind of just barely above zero, if you want to say so. And the median between the two is definitely in the negative zone. So we have to move that whole polarity into at least to the 0 point, if not above it, which probably will happen as consciousness rises. The polarity moves into a positive zone. It's a positive polarization. The 9 talk about that a lot. Magenta Pixies channelings, for the ones of you who follow that. So I just wanted to give you a little introduction. Now what happens now is that, well, let's first look at this chart for a minute, because it's highly intriguing. That's why I pulled it up in the first place. So this is for Greenwich. That is for those 5 days between now and July 6th, roughly, which is that window of really powerful alignments and probably also quite definitive action in some degree, as Mars is now in early Aries, closing in on Chiron. So what we see here is Arrokoth rising again. Arrokoth. Okay, those of you who follow my broadcast, my podcast, I should say, are aware of Arrokoth, the one which has been recently found, that little body, which challenges our view, our vision, which makes us all of a sudden wake up to something we haven't really fully understood because we didn't see all the pieces of the puzzle. So that is happening en masse all over the globe, that we are becoming awake. It's really the best word to use. Waking up in this dream, seeing what things truly are for what they stand for. So this is quite powerfully placed, as we have seen in many charts, meaning it is happening now. The moon in Scorpio, just a bit past the opposition point of Uranus. Scorpio moons always are inquisitive. They dig deep. They want to get to the roots of the issue, and naturally when the moon is in Scorpio, that means it becomes Pluto's dispositor. Pluto, the one we have been talking about a lot too, Shiva, Lord Shiva, the one which first has to undo, destroy, go back to the drawing board and then rebuild from scratch. Something we see happening all over the world is that cocoon phase, which I was talking about yesterday, we are all in globally. The inner restructuring, the inner reformation of consciousness, which is definitely linked to Arrokoth, the seeing through deceptions. And Arrokoth is in a nice, beautiful sextile with Neptune, which helps a lot to see through the many layers, wheels. Okay, we get to that later. But let's look at the this same chart for the United States when the Sun entered hexagram 39 yesterday night. So here we have a Scorpio rising, Virgo midheaven, and there's lots going on in the 2nd and in the 8th house. Now first let's start with the rising sign here, Scorpio rising of Deucalion at the ascendant. Deucalion is an interesting small planet which has to do with the preparation for a big change. Deucalion is a similar figure like Noah, who was asked by God to build an ark to survive, to guarantee survival for all the many species. Deucalion got a similar assignment of preparation for some big, huge changes to come, and Deucalion has been very poignantly placed again, quite often again here. So that's another clear indication that we are going through some huge fundamental shifts which demand for people to understand that they have to go and get ready for some even bigger stuff to come internally, externally, both. Interesting too, a Scorpio rising means it's resonating with the 8th house, and we have all that many planets here in the 8th house. Then, okay, this is a planet, a small planet, actually 700 kilometers in diameter, AW197. The 197 is not here, but it's that's the full name of it. 2002 it was discovered. AW197 is exactly at mid-heaven here for the next 5 days for the American nation. AW197 is an interesting little body. I just yesterday wrote a little post about it. You will see it in my Facebook group. It's about allowing the enemy to make all the mistakes and then to take advantage of them really almost killing themselves. It's that allowing the opposition to do whatever it wants, and then that is the reason for people to fully see through. That's exactly what happens. Trump has this small planet strongly placed in his chart. It's related to Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Linda Goodman, a wonderful astrologer, researcher, has done some work on that little body, worked through many charts, probably to find out what is the common denominator here. So AW197 here in midheaven, this could indicate that finally there comes the point when they really hang themselves. And I'm more and more tending in that direction, that we won't see an immediate big action, arrest or whatever happening, but just that the dark guys, excuse me, are pushed to do such unbelievable, crazy action which will shake even the last person awake and make them see that this is just wrong. I mean, we see it everywhere. Criminals are released due to that whatever event. I don't want to mention it because it's a banned word. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So it's been overplayed. I mean, we know, I don't want to go there at all. It's just ridiculous when we start seeing what's really happening, and I guess it's really catching on. Now, what else is happening? And actually, just also a few hours ago, Mercury was exactly aligned with Sun and Earth. That's always the center point in the retrograde phase Mercury has. You could imagine we are standing here on Earth, and the Sun is, if you look into the sky in this place, now Mercury is moving between Sun and Earth, and because you see the Earth moves that direction, so Mercury also moves that direction and faster, and that makes it go backwards as it's projected against the opposite side of the zodiac. So at the center point, this is when the new synodic cycle starts. That's the mutual dance of Mercury, Sun and Earth, which is a 4-month cycle, and when they're perfectly aligned like early this morning, that is the seed for a 4-month period. Now in this chart, what stands out is again Deucalion. This is the Greenwich chart. Deucalion here exactly squaring the midnight axis, the consciousness axis of the chart. The moon closing in on Deucalion, and then this again is the theme of getting ready, preparing for the big flood. Naturally, this is more of a symbol. It's preparing for big shifts, changes, getting oneself in the right position, ready to brace what is ahead. What is interesting here is that this is the axis of the galactic center. 27 degrees Sag is the galactic center. Whenever we see that axis activated, that's another sign that some big stuff is going down. This is kind of the direct lifeline our solar system, our Earth has with our Sun, the galactic, our Sun, the galactic center, that umbilical cord to the higher dimensions is at the 7th house. That's lovely, that's sweet. And then there's chaos here. Chaos is an interesting little body, which, as the name implies, it's out of chaos, order is born. Chaos is a natural starting point for order, and order is coming natural out of chaos. So chaos is in a way the undoing, the get everything disconnected for a moment. It's again that image of the cocoon, of everything being in transition, put in question. Nothing is for certain for a time being, and we just have to hold the energy the celebration, the vision, to know that something great is coming. I just want to give you away a little secret. I will talk about that very soon. I just found out a few days ago that in heliocentric astrology, on November 2nd, Jupiter and Saturn will have their conjunction. Now this is big. This is really, really big. And this gave me almost goosebumps when I saw it. That means in heliocentric astrology, which is the most basic energetic blueprint we have for what happens here, there's always how to say that, a delay or a kind of a, it manifests a little earlier or a little later here on planet Earth because of our different perspective. However, the basic energy is the heliocentric energy, that is the sun's coding of the energy particles, the photons, the light waves, the neutrinos. All those small particles are encoded with this frequency, and it means that on November 2nd, just the day prior to the presidential elections, which is really where everything is geared toward, that whole year is orchestrated around that event. We have really to keep that in mind. So many people think there won't be really big changes before that date, in the sense of chaos and organized problems. I hope not. I hope that the people wake up much sooner, which would allow for big action to kick in, because that's seemingly how the white hats are working. They want first people to fully support them, at least a big majority to have behind themselves for major action to be called in. I'm still thinking that, I mean, next week will be big for sure, and let's see how it exactly plays out. But what I have seen, looking ahead a bit, is September. That's probably more around the time when we see first really big heads fall, big indictments. So we might have to wait for that. We will see. I mean, it's one thing we can say for sure is all that chaos is allowed to happen. It is allowed to happen for people to wake up. Q has made that very clear just in yesterday's post. You have to go there and read it. I guess it's 4,550. It's about the third last post, where Q, that secret intelligence group, 10 people approximately, as we heard from various sources high up in the command chain, mostly military intelligence, they are giving us all that information. And anybody who has not yet tuned into that, I highly recommend. It's better than any news channel. You hear exactly that which matters without too much noise and distraction. So Q has hinted at that and got really clear lately that we have to allow for that chaos. It is part of that cocoon phase, if I use my words again, of that chaos to fully play out, to then reorder itself in an organic way from inside out and not superimposed from outside. So this is really the start, when inside the organization, within the people, within the majority of us humans, when we hold that energy and when we help others to wake up, then we set the stage for the bigger events to kick in and happen, and they are all lined up. It's all happening. There's lots of people in high places are seemingly just pretending to be bad, like Boris Johnson, for example. I heard that in one of the broadcasts. Makes total sense. He is part of the alliance, but he plays that role of the devil's advocate, if you want to see it that way, to really make it very graphic, so people will start to revolt from inside out by themselves, because it has to be a grassroots movement in the end. So that's kind of what I'm seeing from here. Now let's go to the Mercury synodic chart for Washington. That was yesterday night as well. So you see, that was just hours after the sun entered hexagram 39. That was 8:44 p.m. and then 2 hours later, that was when Mercury had its exact alignment with the Sun and Earth. That is where Mercury was at that point, exactly in the heart of the Sun from our perspective, merging with the solar principle, being recharged. What stands out again in this chart, you see, I mean, it's always these repetitions of alignments. Again, Deucalion, you see, makes an exact T-square with the ascendant-descendant axis here. And what else is really interesting here is the part of fortune aligned with the North Node in the 4th house, and that's where the United States Uranus is at 8:55 Gemini. So again, Uranus, we have found Uranus in many charts, particularly midpoint charts. And then I just want to add a few more things. That's then Capricorn's entry point into Saturn's entry point into Capricorn. Okay, I'm just preparing you for tomorrow. Tomorrow I will get deeper into this. Since March 21st, when Saturn first entered Aquarius, it had been going up to the 2nd degree, 157, and then turned backwards again because of Earth's motion, and is by tomorrow or just really late tonight, it will enter by retrogression, excuse me, again Capricorn. So this is a big event, and this changes the whole landscape again. So this all before the lunar eclipse, so we are still building up the energies, getting every piece in place, and this will be a biblical dramatic period we are getting into. With just a little preview here, we have Chiron at the ascendant, but more of that tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. I will really do that now on a regular basis, give you a little update every morning, because so much is happening. So thanks again for joining in and listening, and give it a like, and if you enjoyed it, also subscribe and share, and I'm just ending the stream here now. Thank you.